Steve here with Table Rock Tea Company. Now, if you are here because of the tea channel, this video will be a bit odd because it has nothing to do with tea, because this is a video about my guitar rig setup. So if you are here because you're a guitarist, check out the Tea Company. If you're here because you're the Tea Company, well, you might learn something new. Many of you may not know this, but I have been playing guitar since I was 15 years old, so going on 4 decades now. And that has been a lifelong thing. I had a recording studio for about 18 years, recorded off and on, and always been playing. But how this relates to tea, I guess, in a way, it's because our tea company turned a corner a few years ago, and we actually could afford to hire help, which freed me up to pursue some hobbies that I had left neglected, this being one of them. So I am going to take this time on the video to go through my pedal board, because this is about 4 decades of finally honing in on what it is that I like and what brings me joy as far as gear and equipment. So check it out. Before I put the board together, I want to make sure that my signal chain is working the way I want it to work, and especially with the power requirements. So I'm going to take these in kind of 2 parts, I guess. I'll go through the signal chain and how that's looking from pedal to pedal. Again, this won't be a demo. I've already tested it and everything works. But then I'll explain the power requirements, because that was a little tricky with this particular build. So I know that there's going to be a lot of differing opinions, especially when we get to one pedal and where I place that in particular. But let's get started. We'll go basically from the guitar all the way through to the amp. So the guitar is first going to go into my Korg tuner, and then from the tuner I go into the pitchfork. Okay, this is the one that's probably the more controversial, because from the pitchfork I go into the wah. Now, you'll run a lot of people will say to reverse that order, to put everything after the wah pedal. I don't want to do that, because my pitchfork, I am basically using this as a one-trick pony to make a bass guitar. And so just like I would run effects for my regular guitar, I want it to be for the bass. So I go from the tuner to the pitchfork, so then if I want it to be a bass guitar, it's a bass guitar, to the wah. From the wah, then I go into my tilt overdrive. From the tilt overdrive, I go into my Strymon timeline. From the Strymon timeline, then I go into my Boss RC500 loop station. The loop station then goes into the amp. There's also an XLR input here on the loop station for a microphone. And this is one of those tricky pedals. The 2 pedals power-wise that are causing me issues, or that are the Strymon timeline and this looper, because they require a little more power than my Voodoo Labs Pedal Power 2 Plus would provide. I reached out on some internet forums about that, and this is actually really cool. So I want to show you guys a little bit of a trick here as I go through each of the pedals, but I'll start with the power supply first, in particular how you can use your Voodoo Labs pedal power to supply power to a timeline and power to a Boss RC500. So let me go ahead and go over this Pedal Power 2 Plus power supply from Voodoo Labs. I am not an expert when it comes to anything electrical, okay? So as far as milliamps and all that kind of stuff, I'll probably tell you some false information. Look it up, but you'll get the gist of what I'm trying to tell you about. So you basically got these 8 outputs, okay? And this will tell you what they are here. Essentially, they are 9 volts each, but you can switch these micro switches, I suppose. I forget what they call the switches. There's a technical name for it. But when you switch it, it'll go up to 12 volts, I believe. I won't need to mess with that at all. But right here, you've got, and this is where I was running into problems with the timeline, you've got 4 of them, the first 4, which are regular 9-volt pedals. I believe these are 200 milliamps. And then these 2 right here are lower. Those go down to 150, I believe, 150 milliamps, still 9 volt. These two over here are, I believe, the 200s, but they also have this thing where you can basically go from 9 volts down to 4 volts by turning these dials. And what that does is it makes it so that you can simulate some pedals that are having a dying battery. Some claim that certain pedals sound better when the battery was sort of half dead. I never found that to be the case. That said, I will be using these for my tilt overdrive pedal and for the, I believe, the pitchfork as well. Those are the two that I'll plug into here. And I don't ever plan on using that adjustment, but it's there. Now, here's where things get a little tricky. If you have a Strymon timeline and you're finding that it does not work with your Pedal Power 2, this is directly information direct from Voodoo Labs, okay? There's a video on it. You can buy, and I'll put a link in the description, a splitter. What this does, it says actually not a splitter, it's more like a coupler. And what you can do is plug it into 4 and 5, or in my case 4 and 6. I'll show you why I'm doing 4 and 6 in just a second. But what that'll do is it'll actually add the milliamps up. So it's 200 plus the 150 is 350. And I believe the pedal requirement is something like 300 or a little above that. So that's how they say to go ahead and power up your Strymon timeline. Pretty cool. So I'm doing the same thing again with my Boss RC500. Reason I'm doing that for the RC500 looper is because you're going to need that extra power for phantom powered microphones if you want that in your XLR. So that's how I've got that set up. Pretty cool. Now let's go through each of the pedals in the signal chain. I'm just going to briefly describe why I bought them, why I like them, what I use them for. So first in the chain is this Korg Pitch Black tuner. Why do I like it? It came highly recommended. It is a very big, bold, display, so you can see it even if you've got bad eyes like myself. Just super, super simple, and it's very, very quiet. So that's the tuner. Really like that tuner. After that, we go into the Electro Harmonics Pitchfork. Man, what can I say about this? Really cool pedal. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. Like I said, though, I'm mostly going to use it as a bass guitar because my rig is for personal use. I like to just jam and play and create, grooves and play over them and practice, that kind of stuff. So this will let me quickly, just basically detune my guitar, but I'll mostly be using it at that one lower octave to make a bass guitar. So really, really cool pedal. These pedals, by the way, again, I'll put links in the description below, but I've been playing for 40 years, and this pedal board is something that has kind of come about really after just trial and error and finding my sound. It's super individual, but I really like this. I had an octave pedal before, just didn't like it as much. This is a much more realistic sound, a lot more versatile pedal. After that, we got the Crybaby, and I'm using a mini Crybaby. I grew up on the original Crybaby, and I was very hesitant to buy this mini, and I absolutely love it, and I'm so glad I did. Now, I can't remember without taking this apart, but what's cool about the mini is I believe that there are 3 different settings you can choose from, depending on what style of Crybaby wah you like. The original, I think there was one from the 80s, and there was another one as well. So you can buy the mini and essentially pick your pedal out of 3 that are considered the greatest Crybabies of all time. Takes up a lot less real estate on the board. I didn't need the whole foot control. You just put it there and it's super easy, super smooth. Love this pedal, really nice. After that, we have, man, I can't talk highly enough about this. the Rev Tilt Overdrive, and it is a signature model, Sean Tubbs, I believe. Hopefully I got that name right. But yes, this pedal replaced my tube screamer. So I had a tube screamer on my board for as long as I can remember. Absolutely love the tube screamer, had every kind of version you could imagine. Just, that's the sound I was going for, really loved it. Never thought anything could dethrone the tube screamer until I found this. Why do I love this pedal? Well, let me count the ways. Well, first of all, you've got your drive side that I can get exactly any tube screamer I want out of this pedal. Yeah, it completely matches it great. But what's really the kicker is this second half. And what this is essentially a boost, but it's not a boost just for volume. You can do a volume boost in there. It's very hard to explain, and I won't be saying the right things technically, but what happens is you can have it so that when you hit the boost, your solo just cuts through the mix. And I'm not really even sure how that happens, but it doesn't even have to be louder. And, you know, it used to be you'd have to almost go for a completely different overdrive tone for a solo or more volume or whatever. This somehow, the best way I could describe it is that when you hit that boost, you can dial it in so that that solo part finds the gaps in the frequencies and just cuts through. So it's just without changing the feel and the vibe. It's just yeah, it just enhances or boosts it. And man, I've never seen anything or heard anything do it like this. So I can't recommend this more highly. The Tilt Overdrive, really, really awesome. Like I said, it replaced my tube screamer, and I've had them all. So really cool. All right, after that, we go into the Strymon timeline. What can I say about this? Anything that you want to do, delay, reverb, chorus, it's in this box. Very programmable, you know, very, you can dial it in. If you want to play like the Edge with those dotted eighths and all that, man, this will do it. I can't even imagine how many recordings and live performances this has been on by other people, not by myself, but just very lush, very beautiful sounds. And that's where it needs that extra power to give it some more headroom on some of the patches. So I don't actually use this pedal without the slave pedal, and I'll show you that right here. This is the Strymon multi pedal, or multi switch rather, and this is what I stomp on. So I basically don't want to mess with the timeline itself. So this slaves to it, and I can just go program my patches in, and then I just go up, down, up, on, and off, and that's it. So that's what this is for. This is what I actually will stomp on, not my actual timeline. And then the heart of my system is right here, this baby. This is the Boss RC500 loop station, and I have been playing loopers since the mid-'80s, or late 80s, I guess. Had all the Digitech and the, if you ever listen to Phil Keggy and all of that, I've had all kinds of loop stations over the years, plenty of them from Boss, and it took Boss about 25 years to finally come up with the right one. So this isn't even the flagship looper, but I believe that this is the best one. And there's so many things that make this. You watch a video on it, you know, you'll get all that stuff. But the 3-button thing, super important. 2 tracks, also important. Can plug in the microphone, very important. It also has a built-in rhythm section. And this one will actually sync your tracks to the rhythm. So without really any latency issues or anything like that, really it was not done before. So if you're a little off, it'll sync it in, and man, it's just nice. But the way that they finally laid it out, those of us who use loopers have been screaming for this pedal for decades. And finally Boss listened, they got smart, and they put it in the right configuration. So Watch some videos on this. This is the looper. Like, I can't even recommend another loop station, even the one, you know, for flagship stuff or whatever. Totally awesome. If you have never used a looper, I will say this, and I say this to every new guitarist, this one pedal alone will improve your playing tenfold, simply because you now have a band that you can play with. It's also merciless. So if you don't get the timing right, you don't get the timing right. Like you're, you know, syncing and all that stuff. But once you try to solo over it, you know, that's what you got. And it really helps you improve your timing. It improves your phrasing. It improves all kinds of stuff. This one pedal will change your life. So very, very cool. So the Boss RC 500. As far as guitar goes, I've got two. I have a 78 Fender American Strat that is a hardtail natural. Really like this guitar. Picked it up for almost nothing. I'm a fan of the old 70s big Smurf headstock. I know that that's one of those opinion things. I love them. And this is the only headstock I wanted, was the big fat one. So this is my 78 Fender Strat, but this is not my main guitar. I have owned probably, let's see, last count was about 81 guitars, something like that. I don't collect, I buy and sell and all that. And I've been doing that for going on 40 years. This guitar, however, is not just the nicest guitar I've ever owned, it's the nicest guitar I've ever played. It is a 97 Guild Bluesbird. And if I were like to be turned into a guitar, this is what I would be turned into. Absolutely love it. It's basically like a Les Paul, but semi-hollowed out. It's a chambered body in here, so it's lighter. But this was plecked, and you can't really appreciate it, but all the way down the fretboard is perfect. And man, just the tones you get out of it, but the playability. Every guitarist that I put this in their hands, they're just absolutely in love with it. There's a huge story behind this guitar. I might do another video about that later, but yeah, 97. It's just got really nice flame on there too. Just a really cool guitar. 97 Guild Bluesbird. And then it all goes to this amp. Now, this is another little hidden gem. This amp right here is the, let me make sure I get the name right, the Bugera Vintage V5 Infinium. So Bugera Vintage V5 Infinium. This is a great amp, and the reason I love this is because you can switch on the back. Let's see if you can see it here. There's a switch that you can go from 1 watt, 5 watts, or 0.1 watt. And I've got it at 5. But basically what that does for you is it makes it so if you're just playing in your room, you don't need to be blasted out with a Marshall stack. And this has amazing, it's a tube amp. So you can get amazing tube overdrive, but it's also got a really warm clean to it, but you don't have to play it loud. And it's so awesome because you can really dial it in and crank it up to a normal room level without blowing your ears out, and you're getting everything out of the amp. It's super, super cool. It does have some reverb to it that I keep pretty light. But yeah, this Bugera V5 Infinium is awesome. The pedal board itself is a Friedman 1317. That's 13 inches this way, 17 inches this way, and it was just perfect. I wanted something super, super tight, super compact. I won't be adding any more pedals to this board. It is stable. It is, you know, it's got everything I want on it. The only modification that I've done with this so far, hopefully this is the last and only, is this hole right here. I had to drill a 1-inch hole to fit the XLR that's going into the Boss loop station. So that's a straight, you know, straight through, so it didn't have a spot for that. Other than that, it is very stock, but it's built like a tank. Pretty awesome. The whole system is tied together with this custom welded sort of rack, I guess you could call it. I made this specific. I can do welding. I would never say I'm a welder because I don't like to insult welders, but I can weld. Anyway, this holds the amp right here. The pedal slides in, and it's also got a welded section here where the mic stand can screw into the bass. So it's a combination mic stand as well. Keeps everything nice and tidy, which, by the way, I didn't talk much about the mic stand, but I absolutely love Atlas telescoping booms for the mics. Doesn't matter necessarily what actual stand you get, but those Atlas telescoping booms are really awesome. Built like a tank. I've used them in studio stuff for years and years and years. Absolutely love it. So this ties everything together in one neat package. So that's it. That's my practice rig. Everything in one nice, tidy little package. Nice and neat. I like it. Of course, I got my Larry Norman poster. Larry was a big influence on me. He was a mentor. You can actually see in this is a picture of Larry and I together. That was probably the last time I saw Larry, actually. And yeah, so anyway, this is my little inspiration corner. Again, for those interested in the pedal board, that's it. And all the details are there. I'll put links in the description. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned to see what else is brewing here at Table Rock Tea Company.